The police are going down the street right now. They're taking the stones right to the shields. Can't say exactly what's going on. Let's come up in here, John.
Those are the officers who have those safety shields there, but they're just absolutely getting pummeled by rocks and bricks. And now the protesters move toward them.
You know, I can see the officers who do not have the gear on seem to be running obviously a little bit faster. Wow, what are they throwing?
This is what these young people are throwing. Sharp bits of concrete. I saw one young man pick up a slab of concrete, break it off so he could throw it at the police.
What we do know is that they're criminals. They attacked officers without provocation.
Fuck the police. But that's not right, though. That ain't right, though. It be fuck the police, but that's on our block, though, bruh. Now we destroying our homes. Now we destroying our community. For what?
We have a team of men from the church going to North Avenue now to pull back those young people who are absolutely out of control so that we can bring some order. This is a peaceful movement.
At police vehicles. The police vehicles being pelted here by wood, by rocks. This is basically a scene here in Leon Allison where anything these rioters can get their hands on, they are throwing. We're using that window was just shattered there, that squad car. They're using riot gear inside of the squad car to protect themselves. I've been doing this for 5 years. I have not seen anything like this before. It's tense down here, certainly tense. Looks like that we do have some tear gas in the air. I'm going to try to gather my thoughts here.
This is just some of the damage that they have done. Look at this car burning in flames on the street. Fire crews responding to it, but getting through those crowds obviously has been really difficult for them in the middle of all of this chaos.
This is once again Pennsylvania Avenue, North Avenue. The CVS now, as we can see, is on fire.
Well, here's what we got going on. We got the fire department behind me trying to put out this fire at the CVS. The CVS caught fire after it was looted earlier, and you can hear the alarm going off. I think that's actually the building alarm that finally went off after the building had been on fire for about 15 minutes here. So you can see Baltimore City firefighters desperately trying to put this fire out. As they're trying to push the fire out, they're being protected by a big police line over there.
I'm a lifelong resident of Baltimore, and too many people have spent generations building up this city for it to be destroyed by thugs.
Looks like they took a bat to this. Of course, they blasted through this place pretty easily. We saw for probably at least 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, people just going through this store, taking whatever they want. We're keeping an eye on our vehicle. Let's just take a look at this real quick. The police left. They just came through. Their presence was known. People fled. Now they've gone on to something else. Here's those cash drawers, those cash boxes. They just came in and just threw them onto the ground with tremendous force. You can see the change here on the ground.
I hate to overuse the term war zone, but again, that's what it looks like here. This fire truck just arrived a moment ago, but look at this. This is from before. These are two of the vehicles that were set on fire earlier. You can see all that's left of that van, all that's left of this car.
Now we're going to go over to the front side. We just got this tip from our photographer, Van Applegate. He literally pulled up onto the scene. These folks are just shamefully loading up and pulling off.
Stop.
Now we're going to get a front view. Again, we got to be very careful. Whoa. Someone just hit us with something.
It's just trash.
A milk bottle. Now they're going after us. Someone just threw something at us.
The train tilted over and rolled.
We have people on the track.
Keep calling, okay?
And a couple of cars overturned.
There's a bunch of debris down there.
One train's dead. Looks like it's completely in pieces.
There are so many people worse off than me right now. 7 who are deceased. It is an absolute disastrous mess.
What was the train speed? What was the speed limit on that curve?
Somebody helped me up.
I'd been delirious and that they had carried me off.
We still have folks that we would like to hear from.
We said prayers last night to baby Jesus to say thank you for bringing Daddy home.
Good afternoon, everyone. Leon Harris here reporting live from Philadelphia as we cover this tragedy on the tracks that has played out here in this city. We are looking here now at a portion of the nation's busiest rail corridor, which has now been completely shut down because of a derailment of Amtrak train number 188 last night here around 9:30 p.m. That train was traveling from Washington, D.C. to New York when it derailed here last night.
The scene described by survivors as chaotic. Train cars torn apart, tipped on their sides, mangled.
I saw so many head injuries and, bloody faces, and, people were really injured.
Shortly after 9 Tuesday night, Amtrak train 188 with 238 passengers and 5 crew members traveling from Washington, D.C. to New York City. While going around a bend, the train came off the tracks that had been inspected just hours before the accident with no defects found.
I was on the third car, so we had to actually climb out the top of the window.
When the engineer-induced brake application was applied, the train was traveling at approximately 106 miles per hour.
And the 7 on Your Side I-Team found incidents along this stretch of rail are not uncommon. Since 2006, federal safety records show 37 accidents have happened on this stretch of Amtrak's rails in Philadelphia County. There have been 15 derailments in that time, but no deaths or injuries, according to the data we uncovered. In fact, there's been only 1 death on that stretch of track in the last 30 years, back in 2003. And as investigators from the NTSB dig into the cause of this latest crash, federal records clearly lay blame for others. The majority of accidents in the last 10 years in that area have been, quote, track caused, according to the feds. Power and equipment problems are a close second, with what they call human factors causing 5 of the accidents since 2006.
There's also a full investigation going on. You saw earlier the National Transportation Board, whose representatives are here, their personnel are on the ground.
The NTSB is evaluating the speed of the train as it approached Frankfort Junction and a well-known bend in the tracks that's been on the radar for considered changes for decades. Officials as far back as 1901 mentioned plans to eliminate that curve.
We set up hidden cameras throughout the house and watch.
I can't give you an estimate. You're looking like $1,000. I'm on the clock.
It was ABC 7 News.
This is really awkward.
Make sure you get her sleep. Excuse me, are you on duty?
We're curious if your social security number is...
Yeah, it is.
He did every sport there was.
He was killed like an animal. We need people to tell us what happened.
This crib could kill a baby.
I will never sell something that I know has been recalled.
But the crib you sold her was under recall.
From ABC 7 News, this is a 7 on Your Side special.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Leon Harris here in downtown D.C. As you can see, we've been out here tonight talking to people about something that we've got going on at ABC 7 that is really, really special. Now, for years, you, our viewers, have known us as the 7 on Your Side station, but now we've got a bigger, better, and bolder 7 on Your Side team than ever before, and we're shaking things up and getting results around town here. Tonight, we want to share a sampling of what our 5 7 on Your Side investigators have already done in just the last few weeks and how they might be able to help you too.
It's the type of thing most homeowners
You're looking like $1,000.
fear they will hear when they hire a contractor.
Well, we got to cut the ceiling open in the basement and everything else, and then that's where we start.
7 on Your Side hired 8 electricians and received 8 different estimates for 8 different solutions to one simple problem. Our expert, Winston Hilton, a master electrician, certified and licensed, with 35 years experience in the field, created the problem.
We just loosen the screw a little bit.
By loosening the connection with the electric panel.
Like a trap.
The outlets and microwave stopped working. An easy fix for almost anyone. Just tighten the breaker connection.
Okay.
Next.
We set up hidden cameras throughout the house and watch as the electricians attempted to diagnose the problem.
Our producer, posing as the homeowner, called in the electricians, chosen from Craigslist, Yelp, and the Yellow Pages. He sat down in a downstairs bedroom to watch, and what we experienced...
I would like an estimate before it goes long.
Until I find out what's going on, it's 130 for the first half hour, 65 for a half hour. I'm on the clock.
was sometimes a bit surprising.
I don't know what's wrong. I can't and find out what's going on. I can't give you an estimate.
Speaking of surprises, every homeowner shouldn't be surprised to be charged a service fee. The prices we were quoted ranged from $75 to $130 just to come through the door. And with such a supposedly simple problem.
I mean, this is a simple problem that I could have fixed myself that we created.
Here is number 5. I'm putting off and push it on again.
But really, it's breaker number 10. The problem's in the connection.
I don't know.
Take a look at that.
I don't know.
You would think it would be an easy problem to diagnose and fix.
Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes multiple days.
How are you? What was ABC 7 News? We're putting contractors to the test, and there was a big problem in the walls and the wiring in this house. We created the problem. It's a little tiny problem. You were telling her that this would be a big job.
No, I did not say that would be a big job.
Think this will end up being like a big job?
Yes. No, again, it can take several times to do this. And this is really awkward.
Of the 8 electricians we hired, only one correctly diagnosed and fixed the problem.
Hello.
And he did it 5 minutes after he walked through the door.
Big mouse gotcha. Loose connection in the panel.
We're putting contractors to the test. How do you think you did?
I think I did pretty good.
I think you did too.
What did he charge us? Just his $80 service fee. The other estimates we were given, $450, $750.
Would they have to like cut walls and stuff?
And $1,250. Getting a simple problem fixed can be costly.
All of Baltimore was attacked, and it affected all Baltimoreans all across the city.
Baltimore is slowly reclaiming its identity after a dark day of rioting last month derailed Charm City.
We had to basically barricade ourselves in the houses because every shopping center around us was looted, set on fire.
Monday night, the city's enduring spirit once again emerged when fans flocked to the Orioles' first home game since violence erupted.
I think it's really good, not only for the city of Baltimore, but for the whole region.
It was billed reopening day.
We can get over this and build it up again. So we chose to come to reopen because let's get the community back together.
Daily salt pretzels, peanut soda water.
Vendors welcoming fans to the friendly confines of Camden Yards.
2 of these.
We're eager to see a sense of normalcy return.
Did you get your water?
Robert Gerard wants Baltimore's underserved neighborhoods, where lawlessness exploded, to get help.
Really, I hope they put money into the city, improve the education system, start from the bottom up, and do it. It needs it.
Baseball on this night served as a temporary elixir for a city ailing from generations of strife.
This is where we live at. This is what we want to do. We want to build it up.
Despite watching their city plunge into chaos, there's a strong sense here of hope. The Charm City can and will live up to its namesake.
The city's a great place. There's a lot of great people here, and work to get them back on their feet.
It is known by one name, the Jungle, a refugee camp on the outskirts of Calais, France, the last stop before getting to England and the last hope for thousands. It is sadly one of many, from the masses in Hungary to those in Germany, Austria to Lebanon, each border hosting its own crisis, a crush of people that can't be controlled and yet won't be stopped. Back in Calais, they risk their lives in nightly attempts to leave. Here we witness a group make the 2-hour trek, hoping to sneak aboard a train headed for Great Britain. Every morning, a slightly smaller group returns. A few, it seems, have made it across.
You said you know people who've done that, who've gotten away?
Yeah, some of our friends, yeah, they have.
Yeah. All the way to the UK?
Yeah. Scotland, London, Manchester, United, Liverpool, all of them, they are there.
More often than not, it seems they are caught, despite what would almost literally seem a needle in a haystack challenge for police, who on this day we watch find 2 women stowed away in a semi-truck.
How long were you in the truck?
10 hours.
Across the region, nations' walls go up. The added fencing, barbed wire, and constant police presence are needed because many say there's just no way of knowing who is among these camps, a sort of quality control.
You don't want anyone to come through who is coming into this country because they are part of a terror gang, and we cannot be blind to the fact that threat exists. We know there are people who are working with ISIL in the Middle East, who want to plan and are actively seeking to plan, terror attacks on the UK and other Western countries.
And there is another factor here.
Refugees tell me that they escape the so-called jungle successfully every single day, whether it's by getting through the barbed wire and onto trucks or ferries, or something even more extreme. Traffickers. Nathan Johnston is a volunteer medic here.
And you hear much about the smugglers?
Not really, they're very guarded because obviously the smugglers have a lot to lose and they're quite powerful people.
That is an international criminal group of people that has to be cracked down on as well, and that is another very important part of our response.
Because they're not just going to bring across a refugee who has money, they will also bring across people who would come here perhaps to do harm.
Well, I think they're people without scruple.
A daunting effect that halts the asylum process for refugees like Ali Ibrahim. Ali claims he was a sniper in the Syrian army, but rather than keep killing, he quit. So he was tortured by Assad's men, he says, and made sure he couldn't shoot again for either side.
See the bone?
So they beat him with a hammer?
Something like that, yes. That's him what you said, yes, with a hammer.
The stories are countless.
I'm being honest, everyone's sacrifice. Everyone's same. But you have children as well. You have women pregnant. And same, you have people diabetic. Like people is cooking in dirty water, plenty of bacteria, no hygiene.
Few say there is hard evidence that terrorists are getting past police and onto British-bound trains or stowing away in semis, but there's truly no way of knowing who is. One ISIL claim, 4,000 jihadists have snuck through. A Lebanese government official suggests 1 in 50 are operatives.
There's a lot of people coming every day. I don't know where I come from. You don't know me who I am. That's the problem.
It's not really black and white on that. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So, I can't really comment on that. And, I've treated lots of different people here and with lots of different political views.
As varied as they might be, they do have one common thread: desperation and the yearning to do whatever it takes to find a new home. Not willing to accept that the many nations now deciding their fate are at a crossroads, and the wait an unbearable one.
Chad Shields evacuated Sunday. He paddles us around his neighborhood in a little John boat. He grew up here, the Ashley River, the playground of his childhood, now the enemy.
It's like all my childhood memories are getting swept away because my parents, we were in shock. It's kind of, you don't believe it's happening.
The normally docile Blackwater is roaring through Dorchester County, often across roadways, detours in place, river crossings closed. This scene typical of what's playing out all across South Carolina. There's a bridge here, water rushing underneath, undermining its stability. They're bringing in boulders to try to support it so it doesn't collapse. There is hope. This area has now seen the worst of the flooding. In the Ashboro neighborhood, the neighbors think the water is receding and that a recovery can soon begin.
It's a lot of uncertainty. We just don't know what's going to be next.
Well, Leon, we can tell you that Bridgewater Plaza, where the shooting took place this morning, remains closed off as investigators continue looking into the question of why this happened. The WDBJ live truck used during this morning's broadcast still parked in the plaza parking lot as this community continues dealing with the shock and pain. An on-air ambush, shots fired as WDBJ reporter Allison Parker wrapped up a live interview with photographer Adam Ward.
Let us not forget, they grew up in this area. They were part of our community.
And Ward was part of finding his own killer. His camera continued to roll after he fell to the ground, capturing images of Vester Flanagan, the man suspected of killing them both and also identified as a former WDBJ employee who went by the name Bryce Williams on air. Police do not know whether he specifically targeted his former colleagues.
Did he know before this morning that they would be located at this remote location doing a broadcast? Did he see it?
Many saw a Twitter account bearing Williams' name live tweeting the tragedy, including graphic video of the shooting itself, along with claims about his victims. The shooter later captured about an hour outside Washington, D.C., Flanagan dying of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after being taken to the hospital.
This gentleman was disturbed in some way of the way things had transpired. At some point in his life, it would appear things were spiraling out of control.
Flanagan sent a 23-page letter to ABC News saying he was motivated by the racism shown in the recent Charleston church shooting, also expressing admiration for the gunman in both the Virginia Tech and Columbine massacres. But as police further investigate a motive, friends and family of the victims are coping with the loss. Colleagues forced to mourn as they continued covering the news.
We're all in a state of shock here. You can hear people behind us in the newsroom crying. I mean, it's just really hard to...
We're holding it back too.
Yeah, it's really hard to even comprehend.
Parker's boyfriend, also WDBJ's evening anchor, tweeted his heartbreak and a picture, calling Allison the most radiant woman he'd ever met, consoling Adam Ward's fiancée, who works as a morning show producer at the station.
I cannot tell you how much they were loved, Allison and Adam, by the WDBJ7 team. They both were in love with other members of the team here, and our hearts are broken.
On the top of Mount Weather, yesterday's heavy rain turned to snow early this morning and began covering the wreckage of TWA Flight 514.
This is one of the most completely destroyed aircraft wreckages that I encountered.
There were plenty of bodies, but we couldn't find any survivors.
The big 727 TWA jet had been diverted from Washington National Airport to Dulles International in nearby Virginia.
From a pilot's perspective, it doesn't look very big at all.
The pilot didn't do anything wrong.
They had significant trouble maintaining both the heading and the altitude.
The air traffic controller didn't do anything wrong.
The captain has just spent 45 minutes telling us why such should not be.
The plane was fine. How could this happen?
And one wonders why the pilots of these airplanes haven't come forth.
Did it hit the top of the mountain or the side coming in?
It hit well below the top. It hit the trees well below the top.
With another 50 or 60 feet, he would have made it through.
I answered the phone and she was hysterical, in tears. She said my parents were on that airplane out near Dulles.
Here was a man that had done so well in the military, and his life was cut short.
This accident was very significant in the effect it had on aviation safety.
I know that they're with me when I'm flying today with myself, my crew, and my passengers.
We need 6 buckets total. I'd like to welcome you all to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We're here to watch the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. I'd like to thank you all for showing up and coming out. Attention, hut. Present arms.
We saw a picture in the Washington Post, these young Marines from 8th and I washing the wall. Cleaning it. This is back in '95.
Anybody that washes the wall has to sign in.
Well, he said Vietnam veterans should be doing that.
Honestly, the emotions that go through me is more of awe and trying to put myself in their shoes. Not necessarily the soldiers, but more so the family, the people that they loved, thinking of waiting for them to come back and having them to know that they're not.
Each time you wash a panel, would you at least read one name? Try to remember it for later.
We're originally from the Republic of Vietnam.
Go ahead.
Our son,
I'll go up high, you can go low.
We have to bring him here so that he can learn about that sacrifice.
We feel it's our duty and our honor to keep their house clean here for our fallen comrades.
It's both painful and healing at the same time.
That's a little bit that we can do after the fact.
If you want to volunteer, just contact the Vietnam Veterans of America. We would love to have you come.
It's always nice to see like the full finished product. Hair, makeup, dress.
We all want to have a day when the world stops just for us. 16-year-old Abby Snyder has no idea
My eyelashes are still like short because they're coming back in.
that her trip Saturday afternoon to SAS Salon
Color eyes you have, they're the green, right?
in Winchester, Virginia,
So where's this gala at?
would be the start of her remarkable day.
I've never really had my makeup done a lot. I've had it done once for last year's winter formal, but it's always exciting because I want to feel pretty.
Abby's desire for beauty stems from a year more frightening than most could imagine.
There were times that I just didn't want to do it anymore and I just wanted them to kill me. But I knew they couldn't. But there was just other times where you just want to give up. But you have to keep going.
She was diagnosed with leukemia exactly a year ago to the day. The medicines to fight her cancer have nearly killed her 3 times. Her parents wanted to do something grand for Abby's 16th birthday on Thursday, but mounting medical bills made anything special impossible. So they hatched a plan with Tom Mitchell.
We're going to be leaving the limousine now.
Mitchell has been working with the Salon, AES Limo, the George Washington Hotel, and the Snyders to pull off an epic surprise. She thinks she's getting dolled up and delivering a speech at a fancy fundraising gala to benefit Tom's foundation.
I like it a lot. It looks pretty.
That's the story. So I called Abby and I said, Abby, I need you to write a speech. And I feel terrible because the poor kid wrote this wonderful, beautiful, magical speech that she unfortunately won't be giving tonight.
Mitchell runs the Still Brave Childhood Cancer Foundation. He helps families like the Snyders with things like rent and gas money.
Make yourself comfortable.
From the limo ride all the way to the hotel, Abby still had no idea until that remarkable moment. And it took a few seconds for Abby to realize there was no speech. The gala was for her.
It's been a very, very hard, gut-wrenching year, and we wanted to do something amazing for her.
You know, look on that kid's face, man, the squeals and the screaming when she walked through this door, and just look at all the people here, man. And we pulled it off.
I had no idea.
A cancer diagnosis robbed Abby Snyder of her 15th birthday. So for her 16th, why not give her in abundance gifts of strength, love, and normalcy?
And I've always wanted my Sweet 16 to be like a surprise, you know?
Jay Korf, News Channel 8.
Happy birthday to a beautiful young woman.
Happy birthday to her.
Okay, so I'm going to wipe tears while you go talk about the weather.
And you know,
live from Washington, D.C., this is a Town Hall Roundtable, America State of Affairs.
Because of this deal, the international community will be able to verify that the Islamic Republic of Iran will not develop a nuclear weapon.
This deal repeats the mistakes made with North Korea.
This vote, which I think will be the most important vote that most members of Congress will ever cast.
I got news for you. Pushing back against an Iran with a nuclear weapon is very different from pushing back against an Iran without one.
And it has been a critical day in the future of this deal designed to prevent a nuclear Iran. The president's top cabinet members who spent the past 2 years trying to secure this deal were on the Hill trying to sell it to some skeptical members of Congress, while the rest of the world watches and debates whether or not it makes us all safer or the exact opposite, puts us closer to war. As hands went up in approval at the United Nations, tempers flared from Times Square to outside the White House.
They are developing nuclear weapons. There is no doubt about it.
Absolutely false.
Crowds demanding the deal with Iran be scrapped, and some in Congress are promising that fight.
Because a bad deal threatens the security of the American people, and we're going to do everything possible to stop it.
The following is an ABC7 sports presentation.
10 years to this day since Major League Baseball made its official return to Washington. A decade in D.C. defined by drama and dreams yet to be realized. But in baseball, they say wait till next year. For the Nationals, this is next year. The reigning National League East champions, well armed already, added the sport's biggest free agent prize. And now a pennant has never been more promising. The national pastime in the nation's capital. What would be more fitting than a serious run at a World Series? Anybody up for a repeat of 1924? 162 games await, and who knows how many more. It's almost time for the first pitch. It's baseball, and it's back.
From ABC 7 Sports, this is Countdown to First Pitch.